Alright, just decided to make a quick how-to video on this engraving project that we're doing with Inventor HSM. So we're going to go ahead and hit new. Go ahead and create a new standard IPT. Once that loads up, the stock that we're working with is going to be 4x6 by 1/4 inch thick aluminum for this particular project. So we're just going to go ahead and create a new sketch here. We'll just click the XY plane. Go ahead and take a rectangle. I'm going to kind of just start that and drag it down this way. First one's going to be 6, tab on the keyboard, 4 on the keyboard, enter. Zoom out a little bit, pan that over. That's my 4x6 rectangle. E on the keyboard is extrude. It's going to be 0.25, enter. Alright, so this is my stock that I'm creating. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace a Hawkeye just because that's how I roll. So we'll click on this guy right here and we'll start a new sketch. And once I'm in a new sketch, I can go to image right here. And what I want to do is I want to navigate to wherever I saved the picture file that I want to make. So you got to go to Google and find yourself the picture that you want. And this is the one I'm going to use. So do that prior and then go ahead and place it anywhere you want. That's just left click to place. And then escape on the keyboard will clear this thing out. And you're going to see you're going to want to go ahead and make this thing a little bit bigger. So it does have different handles you can click on. So if you click on this one in the upper right, it moves it around a little, and this one does kind of one of these guys. And you can kind of get it close, and then you can just click in the middle, left click, and drag that thing around if you want, and kind of make it the size that you want. So this looks good to me. Once I have the picture sized and what I want, then I'm going to go around with either arcs or lines or circles or however you want to do it. I'm just going to use 3-point arcs. And I'm going to kind of zoom in a little bit, and I'm just going to go right here, and I'm going to draw these arcs out. And it's going to take a minute for me to go through everything, but I'll try to do it as quickly as I can here. And it might not be the prettiest thing you've ever seen, but it should focus in on good enough to where I'm at. Get you guys at least started on the process. It's not, I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's the cutting tool is going to follow exactly that tool path. So, I mean, I guess it's whatever you want it to look like. But you can see I'm just clicking on the endpoints in line. I'm dragging these things out to look good. I'm making sure that I get a little green dot right there when I click. I'm going pretty fast. You might want to slow her down a little bit, make it a little bit nicer, but you know, it's a how-to video. I don't want you guys to see her forever. So I'm going to go with that and say I'm good on this. Now, I would do all the rest of these, by the way, but for the interest of time, you get the drift. I'm going to click Finish Sketch. I always try to extrude cut this if I can. So I'm just going to hit E on the keyboard and see if this pops up. If it does, and I can use the cut function and take it down, I guess for me I'm going to take it down 50 thou, but in class I kind of talk about your distances being 15, 25, or 50. So I'm going to go 50. If that works, go ahead and extrude it. If it doesn't, that's okay too, because we can actually do a couple things inside of here that'll go and do some things. So I'm going to put a circle right here just so you guys understand that too. So that's a different sketch. This is extruded and this is not. So either way we can make this thing work. Okay. Once I have this all done, then I'll go into the cam environment and I'll go to the very first thing I want to do is setup. It's always the first thing. When I go to cam, I go to setup. What I have to do is I have to tell it where my 0 is. It defaults to the middle of the part. That does not seem like the best place. The best place for me is going to be up in this corner. So all I do is come over and click that corner. If you draw it to start with in the front plane, then the X and Y thing works itself out. If for some reason it's not the right way, then I just click Model Orientation, Z-axis, and basically I click something that is going to travel in the right direction. So I need like some edge. If I click that edge, the Z goes this way. If I click this edge, the Z goes that way. For our mill, we want the Z to be going up just like that. We want the X to be going in that direction, the Y. So that should do it. Otherwise, you got to play around with these little flip buttons and things like that. But for the most part, that should get you where you need to go. Once it is, you're going to click one tab over and you're going to go to this little mode right here, and it says stock offset mode. If you click here, it'll say no additional stock. So once you get no additional stock, you'll get X and Y, and you'll get the Z right where you want. There's no additional stock showing. We're good to go. You're going to hit OK. All right. Once the setup's done, you're going to go ahead and create a 2D contour. That's going to be the easiest tool path to use. Select your tool from the Tormach list that we've already created. So these are all my Tormach tools. I'm going to use 22. It's a good tool for this. Select. All your feed rates and everything can stay the same for aluminum. 6 and 3s work good. Next tab over, you're going to go ahead and select your contours. Now if you have an extruded cut like this, it's just going to grab the whole thing. So go ahead and select that contour. Come on over to the next side. This should always say stock top, just so we're on the same page. That is going to show this blue line right here saying the top of the stock really is 0 for Z, and that's what we want. This over here, a lot of times what I like to do is either use selection if I can actually select the bottom of something like an extruded cut. That works good, and that's what we're used to doing. The other way we can do things is through absolute values, but I'm just going to go ahead and use selection right now, and we'll do that on the next toolpath. Next tab over, uncheck chamfer because it's going to do that anyway. Click one more tab over here, click lead in, take that off, lead out, take that off. So these two come off. Once that's done, you're done. Hit OK. That's going to create this toolpath, and you're going to see that, and we're going to be able to simulate that later. Let's go ahead and make a toolpath real quick here. Before we do that, let's hit simulate. Make sure this thing cuts correctly. Play. Looks good. So if you see the stock right here, you can also click this little button right here. That'll turn the stock on and make it look exactly like you know, you're actually cutting into the stock and how wide that cut works and all that stuff. So once that's good, you'll hit close. And let's go ahead and make one more toolpath here. 2D contour again. Tool stays selected because I've already done it once. It's tool 22. Next thing over, we're just going to use this circle. Next one over. This time, because it's not an extruded cut, I can't use selection. I have to use origin, very bottom one. I'm going to highlight that, and I'm going to type in for this, I'm going to go 25 thou deep, 0.025, negative, of course. Next tab over, what do I uncheck? Chamfer. Next tab over, what do I uncheck? Lead in, lead out, because I'm engraving. Hit OK. That should create that toolpath. Go to simulate, play. Excellent. So close. If I want to play all of it together, then I'll go ahead and click the setup tab, and I'll just go over here. Once that setup tab is selected, I'll hit simulate, and it'll play everything that we've done. Cut out that. Come over, cut out that. We're good to go. You can see that's 50 thou, that's 25. There's definitely a difference between there. Once that's done and everything's good, hit your setup, hit your post-process button. Make sure that this says Tormach Path Pilot on there. Mine says Tormach Mill, but same thing, Tormach Mill. Post. Doesn't matter where you save it at this point. Here's your post processor, backplot window, shows your toolpath. Once you're good, you'll do the save as and go ahead and save that right into the public folder. If you look here, I have public ready to cut Tormach. This is period 1-2 that I did this in, and you know, your sample. And save. That concludes this particular engraving lesson. Good luck.